My peoples, my peoples. Welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. Y'all know what we doing, man. We talking boxing, y'all. Um, Kick this thing off right away by saying happy Monday. And it's a beautiful day, y'all. Beautiful day here in the Dominican Republic. And you know what? If you woke up, it's a beautiful day no matter where you at. No matter if it's raining, if it's hot, cold, snowing. Beautiful day to be alive, my peoples. Ben Whittaker fought on Saturday. And interesting fight. Before kicking this thing off, salute to Toy Mafia, Sai in the building. Bisco in the building. Salute my brother. Appreciate letting me know about the no sound. One like, that's diabolical, my people. It's too many of y'all in the building to be doing me this early. But I digress. Ben Whittaker fought on Saturday. And I think there's some interesting talking points when it comes to that fight. First, the obvious, right? First round knockout in devastating fashion. Boop, 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 boop. Over. Brutal. Best score. Getting it right, too. Who is the next best all-time Dominican boxer? We'll get to that. It's hard to say. Got to think about it. But listen, Ben Whittaker, I would say he is someone who you can see the potential that he has. You can see that this guy got power, obviously, got speed, got footwork, got movement. He bring a lot to the table. And I said it before, he has, the type of physical attributes and the skills that in the future, he could pose a threat to David Benavidez. In the future, my peoples, don't get ahead of yourselves because you see this knockout and say, oh, no, he could beat Benavidez right now. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have to understand, right now, Whittaker, and people don't realize this, Ben Whittaker has 10 professional fights with that one, with this last fight. He's 10-0. So, folks act like this guy's been fighting X amount of time or has, X amount of experience. And, Ben Whittaker is still a guy that's being developed. He's still in that developing stage. So the smart thing to do is, take your time. Don't rush him. Because I'm telling you right now, Ben Whittaker is not ready for that type of smoke. I don't think he's ready for Shiraz. And he could be a competitive fight, even make it interesting. Does he beat Hamza Shiraz right now? I don't think so. Not right now. You give him a little bit more time, and yes. But today, nah. I don't see it. Listen, don't rush the guy because he looks spectacular. Because you also have to look at the level of opposition that he's facing, So, Ben Whittaker, the right thing to do is gradually step him up in competition. Not just throw him to the wolves. Boom. Nah, he's not ready. And look, I'll show you that he's not ready. Watch this. So this the guy who Ben Whittaker beat in his last fight. Benjamin Gavazi. When they fought, Gavazi was 19 wins, 13 knockouts, only 1 loss. So you look at that record, you're just like, oh, okay. He's fighting. In fact, because I don't know Gavazi, I've never seen him before, I heard one of the reporters say, like, this is good for Ben Whittaker because, you know, stepping up in competition. And I'm like, oh. So he's facing somebody that's nice like that? Give Curry, salute my brother. So I'm like, damn, it looks like Ben Whittaker is going to be facing a live one, right? I looked at the record, 19-1. Never seen no fight. Let me see what he brings to the table. Well, after the fight, you know, the way this guy got dominated, I was like, damn, let me check out his box track. Let me see what's going on with him. And what I realized is that Gavazi, if you look at his record, look at this guy, 13-17, 15-8, 38-52 losses, 6-3, 4-10, 8-1, 11-16, 10-0. So his last opponent was 10-0. But if you look at the other opponents, or if you go earlier into the resume, the overwhelming majority of them, okay, so the first half of the opponents, they all have losing records. And then the last few opponents, most of them also have losing records. So Gavazi is clearly a fighter who they built a resume for him with facing those type of opponents. Nowhere near the skill level of Ben Whittaker. So I would tell you, regardless of how many wins he got, when you look at the actual resume, this was a cherry pick for an easy win. Gib Curry, Jay Smooth, my guy, love family, salute my brother. Bam, you know what it is, man. We doing what we do. Gib Curry knocked his ass out. Oh, Bainey, bro. I'm telling you, this Gavazi is someone who pretty much had no chance of winning this fight. Gavazi had no shot. I don't see how he could have won this fight with his skill level. So he was there to get knocked out, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I gotta say, there's two ways to look at that, because obviously with only 9 professional fights, Ben Whittaker is still being developed. So you're not gonna throw him in there versus a world championship type of caliber type of fighter. But man, that, you know, Gavazi is like levels and levels below. Like, it's not even a fair fight. It's almost like in the amateurs, you're taking a guy who fights in open class and putting up against a guy who fights in novice class. And you know how that's going to play out. Chris Hilton. Ben Whittaker made me some sweet money. Top border. Damn, yo, like, but he was the heavy favorite, so you had to put something on it to win anything significant, because, man, the guy was a favorite. Like, this dude, he was there to lose. He was there to lose. He didn't have no chance. Gib Curry. Me either. I didn't see how he could win either. Yes, you're right. Ben's still growing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I look at Gavazi like a real low level opponent. But at the same time, you know, with only 9 professional fights, Ben Whittaker has very limited experience. And I'm going to tell you something. At some point, they will have to start stepping them up in competition. And I'm going to tell you why. Think about this. Think about this, my peoples. Ben Whittaker is the same age as David Benavidez. Think about the fact that Benavidez is already a multi-division champion, a unified champion, and at that same age, Ben Whittaker has 10 professional fights and hasn't fought not even a top 10 contender in his weight class. So they're in a different space as far as the type of opponents that they're facing. Ben Whittaker is not going to be ready for Benavidez anytime soon. But in order for him to step up to that type of challenge, he's going to have to start facing tougher opponents. Gavazi is not going to get him ready for no David Benavidez. That's for sure. Give Curry, he was just warm up for Ben to get back into the ring. Like I said, you know, this was a quick, easy win. Debut with Matchroom, cool. But it's like I told y'all, man, at 28 years old, that clock is ticking. And let me say this. He's super young. I'm not saying that they got to rush him to a title fight. But ideally, by 30 years old, he's fighting for a title. Ideally. Ideally, he has maybe even two more fights, maybe one more. Well, maybe, ideally, he has 3 fights next year. Remember, when you're at this lower level, you're not fighting 12 rounders. You get him, look, with a first round knockout like this, where he didn't take no damage, he could be fighting in 2 months if they wanted to. So it's easy for them to have 3 fights for him in 2026. And then 3 more fights for him in 2027. And when he's 30, get him a title shot. He got to be ready within 2 years. But that's my point. You know, guys that are his same age are way more accomplished. So with his talent level, obviously, he's going to be trying to reach for greatness. He's going to try to do big things. Well, if you want to do big things, you got to start ASAP. If you want to be multi-division and undisputed and do all these things, you got to get to it. Give Curry super young. Bunch of guys out there who got their first title 21, 22, in the early 20s. And right now, if you see the type of opponent that Ben Whittaker just faced, he's nowhere near ready for a title shot. What the hell did I just do? He's nowhere near ready for a title shot, my peoples. Like, he looks real good, spectacular even. The power is crazy. But if you're facing this type of opponent, you're still, you know, ways away from a title shot. Jana Haney in the building. Salute, family. Bam. What did you think about Ben Whittaker's performance? What's up, Jeff? How you doing? Doing good, my brother. Look, it's Monday morning. God gave us another day, man. I'm feeling great, my brother. That's the only way to describe it. But man, when it comes to Ben Whittaker, I'm talking about the fact that he's really good, but he's still in that process where they developing him. How soon is he gonna be ready? Ajana Haney, I think he fought better than he did. I mean, look, Ben Whittaker has already passed the eye test with flying colors. I think we all see him as somebody who's super talented. You know, everything that he has. You know, the movement, the mechanics, even the showboating. All of it. He's like the package deal. But, you know, he's doing that versus lower level opponents. What's going to happen when he step up is he still, you know, he already had this little speed bump in the road where people felt like he was losing that fight. That fight that got stopped, people were like, damn, yo, they just didn't want to keep going because he was losing. which that's just speculation, obviously. But still, we want to see. Ajana Haney, he needs to prepare. And the thing is, you know, he's in a tough division, bro. 175, you got the Mexican monster right there who already mentioned you by name. Like, yeah, me and this dude down the line, big fight. Him and David Benavidez is the same age. And think about the type of opponents that Benavidez has already faced. While Ben Whittaker is facing guys who's been nowhere near that type of level of competition. That's what I'm saying. That's David Benavidez' weight class. At 175, Ben Whittaker is in a tough division to stand out. You're talking about Bivol, Beterbiev, David Benavidez, and other guys that are up there that it's going to be a problem. It's going to be tough. So for Ben Whittaker to have success in that division, yo, they're going to have to get him ready for that. Because, you know, Gavazi, I guess that's a way for him to get things kicked off with Matchroom and with a great win and all of that stuff. But come on now. You're not going to... Gavazi ain't going to prepare you for no David Benavidez, that's for sure. Ajana Haney, I'll stay longer next time, but I got to go. Train, salute. Salute, family. Bam, appreciate you dropping in. My peoples, look, let me tell you something. Before anybody try to say, oh, nah, this guy, he's the best, don't do it. Don't do it. Ben Whittaker's a very talented fighter. And I believe he has the potential to become a world champion and to even multi-division and get some of those type of accomplishments. But one thing is having that potential, and another thing is to actually accomplish up to that potential. You're in a division that ain't gonna be easy. Five Nights had everything. Whittaker ain't ready for nobody at the top, especially not Benavidez. Yeah, he not ready for that type of action. You know, I have people telling me, yo, this guy's the best right now. He could beat anybody. Nah, man. He's 10-0. Chill. Give the guy his room to develop. But at the same time, you're not going to develop him fighting this type of opponent. Like, that's way too low, below his level. So, listen, my people, they have to start getting him in there with some live ones that is going to give him a challenge, that's going to push him, that he's going to have to go the distance, or he's going to have to, break him down slowly, and finally in the last round or in the last few rounds get the stoppage. You got to get those type of fights. If all you're going to get is, and I've seen it, my people, I've seen it in boxing, guys getting easy fights, doing whatever they have to do with a bunch of easy fights. But then they finally get a title shot, boom, get obliterated, knocked out brutally. I've seen it in boxing. Mr. Tommy Gunn, 1971, my peoples, great channel. I was at the Whittaker versus Cameron rematch. He has all the physical attributes, extraordinary reach, but questionable mentality. And I'm going to say this. Yo, I agree 100% with you, Mr. Tommy Gunn. I said myself, listen, Ben Whittaker, right now, the physical attributes that he has, if they develop him right, he has what it takes to give David Benavidez problems. Because I've said before, if David Benavidez loses, because you never know if he's going to retire undefeated, right? But if he loses, he's not going to lose to a guy like Beterbiev that's going to stand there and bang with him. And let's see who's going to be the toughest guy in the ring. He's not going to lose to a guy like that. Now with his punch output, nah. He's going to lose to a guy that has that type of style that could give him some awkward angles that could make him, have to chase and get him frustrated. And that's somebody that could get in his mind and beat him in the ring. If you develop him further, though, because right now with the type of opponents that he's facing, he get in there with Benavidez, man, listen. He's going out like the same way that he's putting guys out. He'll go out like that. Side, I can't, I call it the Anthony Yard effect. I'm telling you, man. Well, Anthony Yard, I would say he's pretty good, but I think we'll see going forward how good he is. Side, Boost in the same path, unfortunately. Let's hope he get the step-up fight. Nah, bro, he's going to fight Benavidez next. He's going to fight Benavidez next, for sure. And the thing is, when it comes to Ben Whittaker, he only has 10 professional fights. So we have to also give him a little wiggle room because of that. Like, what type of opponent do you expect him to fight at 10 professional fights, right? But with his level of talent and us already seeing him as a future world champion, you have to start preparing him for those title shots, for that title fight. Sorry, guys with the flat feet will give David problems like Bivol or Ben if he develops well. Look, man, a guy like Ben Whittaker, if he really, reaches that potential that you see in him, he gives problems to Benavidez because he's real big. He's also tall and long, so Benavidez is not going to have... You got to understand, Benavidez is usually the bigger guy, right? Now, when you talk about Ben Whittaker, he a big dude. He's going to be right there with him. With the movement, with the footwork, he could make Benavidez chase and actually outbox him and set him up to counter-punch him coming in. But he's not ready for that, to do anything like that. Nowhere near that against the Mexican monster right now. You a fighter? Ex-fighter. Well, I fought as an amateur. Son of Vaughn. Osley Iglesias, Ben Whittaker, Boost Ennis, Johnny Beck are very dangerous at 160, 168. Listen, Terrence Crawford is going to end up with Johnny Beck. I believe Terrence Crawford is going to end up with Johnny Beck in the ring, and that's a heck of a fight. By the way, Boost at 154. Side, how do you think Ben versus Bivol will look? A few years down the line, it could be a great, great fight. Right now, Ben Whittaker gets pummeled. Badly. He get beat up. Ben Whittaker's not ready for that type of action. Underrated Will, bad. Boxing fans, good info. Salute, my brother. Bam. Side, underrated Will. Listen, if you look at what Ben Whittaker does in the ring, he's nice. He man nice. But also you have to take into account who he's doing that against. Who he just beat up. That's why I was showing you guys. You have to look at more than the numbers. Because Ben Whittaker, he beat Benjamin Gavazi. And when they... Shit. When they fought, Gavazi was 19-1. So if you look at the resume, you're like, okay, 19-1, 13 knockouts, good fighter. Shit, hold on one second. Damn, bro, that baby shark may have wiped this video out. Hopefully not. But if you heard it, they heard it. But what I was saying is that Gavazi, with a record of 19-1, you're thinking, okay, Ben Whittaker, they stepping him up in competition. Damn, this guy has way more experience than him. This guy has more knockouts than he has fights. You're like, oh, wow, they really... And somebody actually said that during the broadcast. Somebody said, hey, you know, this is good because they're stepping Ben Whittaker up in competition. Unlaced, salute my brother. They stepping Ben Whittaker up in competition. I was like, oh, okay. This guy might be a tough opponent. But then, after such a one-sided win, I say, yo, well, who's this guy Gavazi, man? Let me go. And I look at his resume. This is the first half of his career, right? That's the first half. Look at the opponents. And okay, that's okay. You could give him a pass because you could say, these guys... You know, he's making his debut. This is early in his career. But you can see he has multiple guys with 0 wins. He has guys with a lot of losses. Okay? And then when you look at the last opponents that he faced prior to getting in the ring with Ben Whittaker, you can see that the one before Whittaker, somebody who was 10-0, but look at before that. 11-16, 8-1, 4-10, 6-3, 38-52. By the way, this guy that's 38-52, like Jesus. 15-8, 13-17. So clearly, Benjamin Gavazi is somebody who they built up a resume for him with that type of opponents. Is he ready to fight somebody as talented as Ben Whittaker? Hell no. These numbers right here fooling your ass. Fool me too. These numbers do not represent the level of skill that Benjamin Gavazi has. It's like a very, very low level, low skill guy. Side, damn, that record looking, I'm trying to tell you. You know, you look at that resume from the outside, it's like, okay, this guy can fight. But then you actually look at the opponents he's been in the ring with, and then you begin to understand why this thing was so one-sided. This guy never had a chance. So, but you have to look at both sides. It's like I said before, this dude, he's never faced any real opponents that could be a threat. But Ben Whittaker only has 9 professional fights going into the ring with him. But still, honestly, this guy had no business being in the ring with Ben Whittaker. So why would you even say, oh, they're stepping him up in competition? This is good for him. You think this guy's going to get him ready to fight the Mexican monster? No. And look, timing is everything, right? Big fights can happen just like that. Oh, these two people talking and boom, they make the fight happen. Ben Whittaker, based on the opponent that he just beat, he's not going to be ready for the next couple of years to fight for a title. You could believe it. He's not fighting for no title in 2026. Forget that shit. 10 wins and you fighting that type of opponents, it's going to be some time before he actually fight for a title shot. And he's 28 years old. I think possibly by the age of 30, he could be getting a title shot. Possibly. But look, man, he's at 175. Benavidez, Bivol, Beterbiev. You see, Beterbiev, who's already 41, Ben Whittaker could catch him in a couple of years and beat him. A couple of years down the line. Jacob. Shalom to J. Smith. Life been hard, but we alive in his. Salute, my brother. That's what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful day. If God gave you another day to wake up this morning, it's a beautiful day. It don't matter if it's hot, cold, rainy, snowing. Beautiful morning, my peoples. By the way, man, welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. Let me tell you, my peoples, today will be the debut episode of Goofiest of the Oofiest. That's debuting tonight, only on Box Center 2.0. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel already. It's about to be on. Remember, the show kicks off and you will be able to call in. There's going to be a hotline available. You want to call in, whether you want to trash talk, give your opinion, give props to a fighter, argue with me, whatever it is. You're going to be able to do that tonight, only on Goofiest of the Oofiest. So make sure you subscribe to Box Center 2.0. By the way, my peoples, I already told you this before, but let me go ahead and repeat it. I want my subscribers, the Box Center family, to be the first ones to have the opportunity to call in. Why? Because once I put the phone number up, anybody can call, right? So look, this is my Instagram. Okay? That's my IG right there. If you want to be amongst the first to call in on Goofiest of the Oofiest and say whatever you want to say, hit me up on my DM. And the people who hit me up on my DM, I'm going to send you the phone number first so that you guys can call in before I put the phone number on screen so that anybody else can just call in. So remember, my peoples, Goofiest of the Oofiest will kick off tonight. Now, let me just say this, man. Because a lot of people, nobody knows at what time Goofiest of the Oofiest is going to kick off. In this episode of Boxing for Breakfast, I'm going to let you know. But you got to stay tuned. You got to stay tuned. I'm going to let you know because it does kick off tonight. But again, my peoples, make sure if you want to be amongst the first to call in, Goofiest of the Oofiest is going to be on fire tonight. Make sure you hit me up on DM. Like, yo, Jay, I'm trying to call in tonight. Send that number. And you're going to get it first. Side, I don't think Ben can beat Arthur right now. Maybe when Arthur is like 45. No, that's what I'm saying. Not 45, 2 more years. If you give him 2 more years, he could win that fight. By that time, Bataviev is going to have slowed down just enough and Ben got a lot better. He'll be able to get him. Jacob, Ben Whittaker versus David Morrell will be solid. But I got Morrell possibly getting him. Ooh, that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight, bro. I like it. To be honest, I don't know if I would put Ben Whittaker versus David Morrell right now. Because, again, that's what I'm saying, man. He's not facing the level of opposition that these guys have already been in the ring with. And that matters a lot. And let me make an example. And this is a world champion. Look at Junior. Devin Haney versus... Devin Haney just beat... Damn, my mind just went blank, y'all. Chat. Who David Haney just beat? I just had brain freeze. Brian Norman Jr. Look at Brian Norman Jr. and let that sizzle in your spirit. People thought Brian Norman Jr. was gonna Jin Sasaki Devin Haney. But Devin Haney's not Jin Sasaki. Devin Haney been in there with Lomachenko. Been in there with Regis Prograis. Been in there with world champions. So, it's the same thing here. You put Ben Whittaker versus one of these guys who's been in there with the top dogs, and it's not going to go good for him. It's not, you know, it's going to play out in a way that they don't want it to. Jacob. Norman should have fought Schofield at 47, not Haney. Schofield not trying to fight at 47 though. Like I don't think we're gonna see Floyd Schofield at 47 anytime soon. Anytime soon, bro. He's gonna stick around. And the fight that I want to see for Schofield is him and Abdullah Mason. We're not gonna see Schofield, bro, in a long time. Even though he should be at 47, you're right. He don't want to. Side, Schofield versus Mason. Oof. That's the fight to make right there, man. I see Abdullah beating him, but I think Schofield can do some things to make it interesting. Jacob, these fighters love being weight bullies. The thing is that weight bully stuff can really backfire. And it backfires all the time and people just don't see it. You don't know how many fighters thought they was a weight bully, got in there, got knocked out because they got to that fight dehydrated. They got to that fight messed up in the game. So the weight bully thing, that's overrated. Super overrated. Guys starve themselves to make weight and then they get beat up. And nobody realized that that's the reason why they got beat up. There's a lot of people that also end up taking their first L because of that. They've been undefeated, but finally they couldn't make weight no more. Bam! Get pummeled. Side, Flo Schofield, big as hell for 135. Yeah, but look at Kurt Scooby. He ain't bigger than Kurt Scooby. How about Kurt Scooby? Think about that. So you think somebody's big as hell, but if they make weight, then it's just more of a struggle for them to make it. If they really big as hell like you think, nah, bro, Kurt Scooby fight at 135. 135, bro. Jacob, and how that go for Scooby? But that proves my point, Jacob, that if you too big and you making that low weight class, people think, weight bully. Yeah, but what does it do to you? So all that stuff about weight bully backfires all the time on people. And nobody really take it into consideration. People just think, oh, Kurt Scooby lost. He lost. He big as hell trying to make little guys weight. Trying to make the weight that 12-year-old kids is walking around the streets in. You know, it's not easy. West Dustin, Schofield and Rowley will be a good fight at 140. Statistically, I like that fight. I like that fight. Side, bro, looks like a bodybuilder. That's what I'm trying to tell you, though. You know, you big like that and you make weight, catches up. It catches up. So my thing is, if you make weight, have at it. If you make weight, have at it. But when they knock your ass out, I don't want to hear that you was dehydrated. I don't want to hear that you struggle with making weight. Because, listen, my people, remember this. Anytime that you say somebody's a weight bully, they struggle making weight. Some of them starve making weight. Starve. Days non-eating. Just liquid. And a little lettuce. And one egg. Starve. So that's why you see fighters don't be talking about that weight bully shit. It's mostly fans. Oh, he a weight bully. He a weight, especially when they don't like somebody. He a weight bully. But that weight bully stuff is really irrelevant inside the ring because there's something that you gotta do. If you're a weight bully, there's something that you gotta do to make that weight. And that's gonna show up on fight night. A la Kurt Scooby. Jacob, Hitches need to go to 47 or 54. Golly, bro, what are you talking about? You trying to put everybody up in weight. Side, I want to see Hitches versus Guard. I want to see people fighting in their own division that they have where they make weight, my brother. And Hitches is a champion, literally a champion in that division. How you just throwing them up like that? Side, I want to see Hitches versus Gary Antoine Russell at 140 for unification. I love that fight. Love that fight. And if I'm not mistaken, they was going back and forth on social media. Richardson Hitchens, Gary Antoine Russell. Although I wanted to see Gary Antoine Russell with Tank Davis too, with Teofimo Lopez. Like Gary Antoine Russell is a great fighter. Fight. Tajon Hitchens is, come on, Tajon. How you gonna say that? Undefeated world champion is ass. What's good? You hungry? Go chew gum. Wes Dustin, Hitchens, Russell. It's a good fight. I love that fight. Love that fight. Side Hitchens look good against a washed Cambosos. Damn, Cambosos already washed? Damn, side. You also wash people up as soon as they lose? Wes Dustin, Gary Antoine needs to be in the mix more. I agree with you 100%. 100%. And I think he's going to be. We have to take into consideration that he became a world champion in his last fight. So if we take that into consideration, I expect to see him in 2026 getting some good fights. Hopefully, you know, him being a PBC fighter and fighting on Amazon Prime doesn't affect his level of activity. Jacob, I just like that old school real dog mentality. We ain't seen since Floyd. Fight near, you walk around short with your skills and bag only. Bro, but you see, that's the thing. You're saying old school mentality and you're bringing up Floyd Mayweather. Ain't nobody fighting near their walk around weight, bro. You want everybody to be like the greatest of all time. You setting that bar way too high, my brother. You setting up unrealistic expectations because nobody out there was nowhere near. Everybody, bro, in boxing, and that's traditionally is 15, 20 pounds over in their walk around weight. That's everybody. You go look around with everybody else. That's Floyd Mayweather. That was, you know, usually maybe 5, 6 pounds over the 147. But you can't set Floyd Mayweather up as the bar of what everybody else should do, my guy, because I guarantee you, my brother, you can't name 3 fighters of Floyd Mayweather's entire era who did that. I want you to think about that. Like, you're setting the bar with Floyd Mayweather? No, but you said since Floyd. But Floyd is the only guy, bro. Listen to what you said. I just like the old school real dog mentality. We ain't seen since Floyd. You're saying old school. You're not saying Floyd is the only one that did that. You're suggesting that old school fighters did that. That's not an old school mentality, bro. That's Floyd. For that, you might say, yo, I wish everybody was like Floyd, and everybody ain't Floyd, my guy. That's just not going to happen. Everybody in boxing 15, 20 pounds above their fighting weight. That's normal for a walk around. Yeah, Floyd used to walk around 150, but that's what I'm saying. We're going to set the bar at Floyd Mayweather? That's unreachable. Eric Gomes, Ben Whittaker coming to take over 175. Let's see, we shall find out. But remember, Eric, right now Ben Whittaker is 28 years old. And he hasn't fought anybody nowhere near the top 10 of at 175. Forget about pound for pound. We don't need to get into that. But at 175, he hasn't fought no one near the top 10. And, you know, that's the thing. People don't realize Ben Whittaker only has 10 professional fights. But this the guy that he beat, Benjamin Gavazi. So look at Gavazi's resume. That's Gavazi's resume right there. And those are the last few opponents he faced before fighting Ben Whittaker. So you have to understand, my guy. This guy Gavazi is like X level fighter, a Z level fighter, nowhere near the level to be facing a guy like Ben Whittaker. He was supposed to get knocked out in the first round. That's what he was supposed to do. So when you're 28 years old and you're in the 175 division with David Benavidez, Arthur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, and other lions at 175, and this is the level of opponents that you're facing, it's going to take some time before you actually get somewhere. Eric Gomes, knockout of the year for me. That's what I don't understand about you, Eric Gomes. That's knockout of the year. So when Terence Crawford does something, you only say hate stuff. Ben Whittaker beats a guy that you never heard of and you're never going to hear in your whole life, and it's knockout of the year to you. That should be crazy the way you look at it. Jacob, I can keep going, and they all on record with it too. That's just 4. Roy did it, Hearns did it, Chavez did it, and Purnell did it. Now, you're wrong about all of them. You're wrong about all of them. None of them did it. They may have done it at some point, but all of them walked around way higher. Chavez walked around in the 160s when he was at 147. Roy Jones walked around like 20 pounds. Man, you're making that up out of thin air. I don't know where you made that up from. None of them did it. Bo went crazy. Bo went crazy his whole career. Bo walked around in the 170s and 160s when he was at the welterweight division. Like, what are you talking about? You see, you making stuff up out of thin air. Staying in great shape does not mean that you was at walk-around weight. You lying now. Matter of fact, Jacob, you're going to need a quick 24 hours, bro. You're going to need a quick 24 hours. You lying. You're lying. Staying in great shape, and I got to put you on break because you're going to keep lying and you're going to keep with the fake narrative. Staying in great shape is not the same as staying in your walk-around weight. None of those guys walked around at the fighting weight. You're lying by suggesting that. That's a lie, and I can't spend too much time with you debating a lie. They were always in great shape. They were gym rats. None of them stayed around. All of them have videos out there of them making weight, of them cutting weight. All of them is known out there where they was trying to cut weight in training camp. Like, how you making stuff up out of thin air like that? You're lucky you didn't get blocked. Cause Jet, you're right, bro. Even when he looked rock hard fit, still have to cut. Nobody walks around at fighting weight. Come on, man. Jacob must not know that I'm Jay Stradamus and you cannot feed that bullshit to me. You could go to people that don't know shit about boxing and feed them that, bro. I don't even have to look it up. Look, Jacob, I could easily debunk everything that you just said. I could show you Sugar Ray Leonard making weight. I could show you Roy Jones Jr. cutting weight. I could show you all them guys cutting mad weight. Like, how you make shit up out of thin air to try to be right? Don't do that over here, because you're gonna... Your bluff is going to get called too easily. O'Neal, Crawford reportedly wants $100 million to rematch with Canelo Alvarez. So pay him his money. Pay him his $100 million. What you mean? He reportedly wants. Pay him the money or you don't get the fight. Easy. Hey, John. I seen that boxers got to get more realistic about the price tag, man. And Crawford is my favorite. You know, they said the same thing about Floyd Mayweather when he first started saying that he wanted those purses. They said the same thing about Canelo Alvarez when he said that he wanted those purses. So what happens is there's times where your eyes, your dreams can see a lot further than people's imaginations. So Terence Crawford vision goes a lot further than your imagination. While in your eyes, you're like, oh man, he gotta be more realistic. Guess what? Somebody might show up and give him 100 mils, and then at that time, you might not even make a self-assessment and say, damn, maybe I gotta start looking at bigger things and start thinking that it's smaller than what it can be. Because that's what you're doing. You're like, oh man, that's too much for him. Watch what happens going forward. Sometimes people's dreams could be bigger than your imagination. Remember I told you that. Sign 100 million or move on, because that fight don't even need a rematch. Yo, it's chess, not checkers. Tay John, you're going to learn that. Because what people don't understand, that at this point in his career, at 38, or I think he turned 39 years old, Terence Crawford is wealthy. While a whole narrative was built that he need a payday, that he needs money, that he don't got it like that. You know, the hate that's always been there on Terence Crawford. I want you guys to take this into consideration about the face of boxing. And this is very important for you to consider it. The first time that Terence Crawford signed with Top Rank for millions of dollars, that was over 10 years ago. And then after that, he re-signed with Top Rank almost 10 years ago for millions of dollars once again. Please take into consideration what I'm about to tell you, my peoples. Please think about this. Terence Crawford been making millions of dollars for over 10 years. You don't see him with a supercar collection. You don't see him with an iced out chain collection. You don't see him with a $1 million earring, with $1 million rock hanging off of his ear. What you do see if you follow Terence Crawford is that he be buying properties, is that he own multiple gyms, is that he got multiple endorsements with coming in from different avenues. So he's been making millions of dollars. He's got all these endorsements. He's got all these investments, and he's not blowing his money. I promise you, my peoples, Terence Crawford could retire from boxing today, and him and his kids and his grandkids will never work a day in their life. You know what that's called? That's called generational wealth, my peoples. When you could retire and live a life, a good life in a mansion, multiple properties, and you get whatever you want, and you get the royal treatment when you arrive, that's called generational wealth, my peoples. You gotta understand that. So while this whole narrative been going on about Crawford, about how he don't got money, and about how he need a payday, the guy got generational wealth already. The guy's future, the guy's kids' future, they secured. Crawford been secure the bag, been secure his future. You know what that actually means? That he dictates the terms for his fights going forward. Now, I see that there's going to be people that just don't understand that. But with time, you will. While you see all these people saying, nah, he not worth that. Because I've seen it across a bunch of social media groups. He not worth that. He not going to get paid that. Who's going to pay him that? What they don't understand is that right now, with his accomplishments and his level of wealth, Terence Crawford can say to Canelo, you either give me 100 or we're not going to fight. Oh, y'all can't get no 100? You can't get no rematch. Peace out. That's it. What you fail to realize is that he don't need a rematch. He whooped that ass convincingly. It wasn't a split decision. There's nobody saying that Canelo won the fight. There's nobody saying that Canelo got robbed. Beat him. And here's what I don't understand about the hating boxing fans. Eric Gomes, for example, was celebrating Tank Davis for fighting Jake Paul in the exhibition. And Eric Gomes' celebration is that Tank Davis is getting the bag. And we would all do the same thing too because he's getting the bag. We would all do the same thing like Tank Davis because he's going to get the bag with Jake Paul. So you support Tank Davis getting the bag in an exhibition fight, but you won't support Terence Crawford getting the bag against the face of boxing who he beat as an underdog already? Well, you know, where are we going wrong over here? I could never understand the logic. I'm going to support this guy's exhibition. I want him to get all the millions, 40 million, 50 million. I'll give him all the millions as Tank Davis. Crawford, nah, man, he not really worth it. I don't know why he think he going to get that money. Huh? Yo, what type of hate y'all got for Terence Crawford, B? What this guy do to you? What did Crawford do to hurt you besides pummeling Errol Spence? Y'all gotta forgive him for that already? Real talk. Y'all gotta forgive him for that. Robert Tompkins, he does got work with his money. His whole different type of man. But that's what I'm talking about, my brother. Terence Crawford is a guy who's been very smart with his millions of dollars. Generational wealth is already secured for Terence Crawford. He don't need a bag. He don't need the $100 million. He's saying that's what I'm worth. If you want a rematch, that's what you're going to have to pay. That's my number. Now, you know, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people saying, he's not worth that. He's not worth that. When somebody pays him that money for a fight, you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel, now you're going to have to find another argument because you're like, damn, I say he wasn't worth it, and now they paying him that shit. What am I going to argue now? Because the things that you keep saying that Crawford can't do, he does. Haven't you guys seen that Crawford keeps proving you wrong over and over? Proved you wrong when you say he couldn't beat Errol. Proved you wrong when you say he couldn't beat Canelo. Proved you wrong when you say he not making money, he don't got no money, he need a payday. Crawford keeps proving you wrong. He's gonna prove you wrong yet again for you to find a different argument to make. Y'all don't realize that you're gonna spend the career of one of the greatest fighters of all time and the greatest of this generation, you're going to spend his whole career hating on him. While a lot of us are enjoying the show, enjoying the history while it's being made, it's like, wow, this is amazing. You're going to spend that whole time hating. You're going to spend the whole time of his career, nah, he can't beat that guy. Oh, no, he can't beat this guy. Oh, no, he didn't beat nobody. Oh, he need a payday. Oh, he broke. He don't got money like that. You're really going to spend his whole career doing that. Come on, bro. Tay John, oh, you trust me. The thing about you haters, I separate the haters into two segments, right? There's the haters that's outright haters, and then there's the haters that will be like, nah, I'm really a Crawford fan. But you repeat everything that the haters say. Everything that they say, you say it, but according to you, you're not a hater. So it's like, huh? God damn. How you sitting here saying, nah, he not worth that much money. He overpricing himself. How do you have the audacity to lower his worth to what you feel it should be? Not a hater. Tay John, I fuck a bug. You tripping, Jay Smith. Well, when you talking about he not worth that, he overpriced himself, I don't know. You confusing me. Eric Gomes, he gave Crawford the shot. The gentleman thing to do is return the favor. Eric Gomes, wait a minute. You talking about the gentleman thing to do? You think it was the gentleman thing to do for Tank Davis to have a rematch with Lamar Roach and leave him standing for an exhibition fight and leave him with nothing? Leave him with no payday? Leave him with a training camp where he spent his own money and then now we can't fight? You think that was the gentleman thing to do? Oh, Crawford needs to do the gentleman thing to do. But Tank Davis doesn't, Eric Gomes? That's how you feel? Tank Davis didn't need to be a gentleman to the guy who he had a rematch with, a rematch date, a signed contract. For Crawford, you got that bar. You see Eric Gomes, how for Tank Davis, Tank do whatever he want, but for Terrence Crawford, you got a bar that where he needs to be a gentleman. Tell me, what do you think about Tank Davis being a gentleman, Eric Gomes? And tell me quick, because if you don't tell me quick, that's a 24-hour break. That's a 24-hour break. If you don't muster up a quick answer about Tank Davis being a gentleman too, you going for 24. West does it. He took short money. He deserved this bag now. Ramirez, Crawford worth 200 mil, if not more. What Crawford did a lot more. They hate him. They hate him. The clock is ticking and the time went for Eric Gomes. 24 hours for you, buddy. Take a little 24-hour break. Talking about Crawford needs to be a gentleman. The gentlemanly thing to do. And meanwhile, you had Tank Davis Kizak in your mouth. He could do whatever he wants. He's getting the bag. You need 24-hour break. You got to control your goofiness. My peoples. We digress, my peoples. What's next for Ben Whittaker? What's next? Are we going to see him still facing the same level of opposition for his next fight or next few fights? Or are they actually going to step him up in competition? Because to me, that was straight up corny. The way one of the guys, the commentary guys was like, oh yeah, they stepping him up in competition now. This is good. Had me fooled. I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, this could be a tough fight right here. Man, he was facing a guy that just was not ready for that type of action at all. They didn't give him no tough test, no nothing. So it was, but it's like I told you, I try to take it, and look at both sides of it. Like, okay, he got a guy that was a real easy win, but also he only has 9 professional fights. Again, man, at what point do you actually start stepping him up in competition when he's 28 years old and fighting in the 175 division? You're going to end up challenging Benavidez or Bivol. You're going to be challenging people like for Ben Whittaker to become a world champion at that division. He's going to have to beat some dogs. That's all I'm saying. You're not going to become a world champion by beating average Joes. And you got to get them prepared. Got to do it. Got to do it, my peoples. Because, and I mentioned this before, look at Brian Norman Jr. and look at that fight. People thought he was going to obliterate Devin Haney. Most people had him winning by knockout against Devin Haney. That's not the way that it played out, right? Why? Brian Norman Jr. has never been in the ring with somebody of that skill level like Devin Haney. So the guys that he was obliterating, they was lower level opponents. Some of them good fighters. Not saying they bums, but when you compare them to Devin Haney, he's not even close. So right now, Ben Whittaker, he's a very talented fighter. Don't get it twisted. But he hasn't faced anyone nowhere near the level of the people the Mexican monster has beaten. Ramirez, Ben gonna have to beat some of David and Goliath literally at 175, bro. Now I'm trying to tell you, Ben Whittaker is someone who is very skilled. Hold on one second, my peoples. Hold on. So, my people, look, at 175, Ben Whittaker, And he a big guy. He a big dude, right? So it's not like he's gonna be a little guy. But when you talk about level of skills, the level of talent in that division right now, it's tough to become a world champion at 175. And Ben Whittaker, for him to get on that road, they're gonna have to start stepping him up in competition soon. Because here's the deal. Ben Whittaker and David Benavidez, they're about the same age. Benavidez 28, I think Ben is 27 or 28. They're about the same age. That means that it's not like Arthur Beterbiev, who's 40, like 41, 40, 41. Ben Whittaker can age him out. If he can bring him back to the ring in 3 years, you got a 44-year-old Beterbiev against a 31-year-old Whittaker. But with Benavidez, it's a problem because y'all the same age. You can't age him out. Y'all gonna be aging together, but while Benavidez is winning titles and accomplishing and fighting championship caliber fighters, and you down here 10-0. Right now he's 10-0 for faced a very low level guy, knocked him out in the first round. But you know they gotta, like I said, they gotta start stepping him up in competition. Assalamu alaikum from Uzbekistan. Salute, my brother. Bam. What you think about that fight? Ben Whittaker versus Benjamin Gavazi. First round knockout. It was a brutal knockout. Explosive. Beautiful combination. Pop, 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 pop. Bang. Brutal knockout. But the level of opposition. Takes away from the spectacularness of the knockout. Because, you know, how impressive is it when you knock somebody out that you know, people don't see as that good of a fighter? You know, it's not the same. Let's see what's next for Ben Whittaker. But I want to see, you know, I want to see him gradually step up in competition. I don't want to see him fight guys like that anymore, who have, you know, a record put together that they beat a bunch of opponents with losing records. You know, Gavazi, look, my peoples. Those are the opponents that Gavazi beat right there. Most of these guys, or the overwhelming majority, got losing records, very little experience, and the ones that got more experience is a bunch of losses. Look at this guy. 11-52 and 11-53. Why would, my peoples, look, why would Gavazi even fight this guy twice? 11-52 and 11-53. You fought him back to back. You building a resume. Cool story. You know, building a resume. Look at the opponents. You know, there isn't a single. Nah, that's downstairs. You want to go to see Papa Mario, Mamorita? You know, the level of opponents that he's facing. Give me a second, my people. I got a bell ringing over here. Shaq, I know Ben. He's from my city. He pieced up Buatsi in sparring. He's the real deal. No, listen. I want you to know that I believe in Ben Whittaker. I feel like, he's a very talented fighter, skilled. The physical attributes, he has. I was saying it earlier. If they develop him right, he has the tools and resources, the physical attributes to beat David Benavidez. Down the line, I'm talking about, maybe 3 years. But my concern with him is that at 28 years old, he only has 10 professional fights, and he hasn't faced anybody, of that caliber at this point in his career. Now, obviously, with 10 fights, you can't rush him. So it is going to take some time before they're going to put him in there against a world champion. And another thing to point out, he pieced him up in sparring, but that sparring and the real deal is different. You got to see him in the ring, in the real deal, to say, okay, he can do that. Now, he passes the eye test with flying colors. Right now, I feel like he's going to be a world champion. But with Benjamin Gavazi's skill level, I think that Ben Whittaker's probably 2-3 years away from a title shot, because he's fighting guys that are, this guy is, I see him at a low level, that opponent. So how soon is Ben Whittaker going to get his first title shot? Remember, all these guys, Benavidez is 28, and he's been a world champion for years at this point. Multi-division world champion. While Whittaker hasn't even got a title shot. So by the time, if they do face each other, by the time it happens, there's going to be a considerable difference in experience level. Considerable. Can he actually beat the Mexican monster? We're going to find out. I think at some point that fight is going to happen. And it's going to be huge. Of course, Ben Whittaker has to stay unbeaten. He has to keep winning fights. And we got to see him involved in some real fights. He's got to be involved in some tough ones. You can't go all the way to the title with those type of fights, my peoples. Just keep that in mind. You can't do it like that. If you're gonna move up and challenge the best out there, you better be facing some opponents that prepare you for that. Because if you're not, it could get ugly. Could get real ugly for you. My peoples. So we was talking earlier about the whole situation with Terrence Crawford. It even made me send somebody on break because they were just hating too much. Yo, man, Crawford, like I told you, man, Terrence Crawford is one of the most hated boxers. Definitely the most hated of this era. Of this generation, I think Terrence Crawford has to be the guy that we put up there as the most hated fighter, just because you see how people have one logic with some fighters and they have a whole different logic with other fighters. Crawford is that guy. That people act like that. It's like, I'm going to show you what's the proof. I'm trying to find an image. I'm going to show you what is the proof that Terrence Crawford is, the most hated fighter in boxing. Like, there's no getting around it. I'm going to prove it to you. Shaq, well, my friend is in his camp. From what I know, the next fight is going to be a slight step up, but not major step up. Main concern is he is older at 28. I think they need to fast track him. You see, so that's my point. At 28 years old, how much exactly time do you have to develop? Do you want him to be a 30-year-old prospect? Because right now, he's a 28-year-old prospect. With 10 fights and fighting lower-level guys, he's a prospect. right? So, I mean, I don't think they should get him a title shot right away because he's not ready for it. He's not winning. He's not beating the guys that are champions right now. But I think they have to step him up in competition like this. I think they need to have a plan in place so within the next 2 years, he is fighting for a title. Fight 3 fights in 2026. They gradually get better, the opponents. Fight 3 more fights in 2027. And the last one of those fights being like a title eliminator. And then in 2028, y'all fighting for a title. But, you know, ideally, you want to have him fight for a title at least by the time he's 30. Certified. He is the future. Morrell would be a good fight. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know. That's a real good fight. I don't know if you want to put him in there against Morrell right now for his next fight. And I tell you that because remember, Morrell lost to David Benavidez. He's been in there with way, way better opponents than Ben Whittaker. And that could be a factor, bro. He's been in there with way, way better opponents. And I'm not going to compare, you know, Morrell to Devin Haney. But I will say people thought Brian Norman Jr. was going to knock Devin Haney out because what he did to Jin Sasaki. But Devin ain't no Jin Sasaki. They thought Brian Norman Jr. was going to look against Devin Haney the same way he looked against these lower level guys. So take that into consideration. Morrell is not Benjamin Gavazi who got knocked out in the first round. Morrell's a championship caliber type of guy. And he didn't beat a world caliber type fighter. He didn't beat David Benavidez. But up until he got stopped, you saw the fight that he was giving him. I don't think... You see, if he was going to fight Morrell, I would have a six fight plan for the next 2 years. And Morrell would probably be fight number 5 or 6 before a title shot. I feel Hearn will try and protect him though. Hearn needs a new cash cow now that AJ is near the end of his career. Ben is a cool dude though. Very different to why you see him on the media. Now I could tell he comes across like he a cool guy. The way that he's relaxed and smiles a lot, he comes across like he a cool dude. Nah, man, listen. You're saying that Eddie Hearn need a cash cow. Bro, Jerome Boost Ennis is going to be a cash cow way before Ben Whittaker even grab a title. Ben Whittaker won't even be a world champion. And Boost is going to be fighting for the millions already. Why? Because I'm expecting Jerome Boost Ennis to fight Virgil Ortiz next. Now, a lot of the haters are going to have to shut up. A lot of the people that say he don't fight nobody, he ain't beat nobody, he ain't beat up Virgil Ortiz. Where you said for years that Virgil was going to beat him. So I think a win over Virgil is going to start that climb. His boost stopped been going up. But it's going to go up significantly when he beat Virgil. So you're going to see that. You're going to see that happen. Side, Ben is a chill dude. He comes across that way. He really comes across that way. Side, Boost versus Virgil, a great fight. It's a great competitive fight. I just got Boost. He just has more in the bag of tools to make it happen. So a lot of people complaining about Terrence Crawford asking for $100 million. Here's what I don't understand. How do you celebrate Tank Davis when he was going to get millions of dollars for an exhibition, but you have a problem with Terence Crawford asking for a huge sum like that for a real fight, a rematch over a guy he beat. That's a problem. Why are people seem to be, what's the word I want to use? Infatuated with Terence Crawford not making money. We're not wanting Terence Crawford to get the biggest bags and get the big. Why are people like that? Like, how much can you hate on somebody? Tay John, I wasn't celebrating Tank. I'm talking about in general, Tay John. I know you saw a lot of people celebrating Tank. You can't just talk about the situation like it's yourself, because the situation is not you. It's just the main narrative that was out there. We would all do the same thing like Tank Davis. He's getting the bag. He's getting the bag. We would do it too. Tay John, you must have seen that comment a million times. In this chat alone, you saw that comment a million times. How we would all do what Tank Davis is doing, and we would all go for the bag too. Now Crawford can't go for the bag too. Now we can't celebrate him going for the bag. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You're going to see all those people that was celebrating Tank Davis for he was going to get the bag. All those same people now have a problem with Crawford asking for 100 mils. It's like they want everybody to get the bag except Crawford. Ooh, don't you dare get the bag. Because we need our fake narrative about how you don't got money. So if you get 100 million, damn, you're gonna keep killing all of our fake narratives on you. You kill the narrative about you can't beat Errol. You kill the narrative about how you couldn't beat Canelo. Now you're gonna kill the narrative about how we always say you don't got money like that. You need a payday. Don't kill that narrative. We don't need you to get $100 million. How much hate do you have for Terence Crawford? Ever since he pummeled Errol Spence, you need to forgive him for that already. That's it. Let it go. That was 2 years ago. I don't understand that hate. It's a different level of hate, my peoples. Shaku hands in the building, bam. A different level of hate for Terence Crawford. People they want everybody else to get the bag. They want everybody else to get all the money, but not Crawford. Crawford is overpricing himself. Crawford shouldn't get paid that much. Why is he asking for that much? But everybody else, not everybody else, especially Tank Davis, he should get the bag. He's the cow. He should. We would all do the same thing that he's doing. Huh? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Wes doesn't, but ain't theatrical enough. Wes doesn't. I would believe you if you have ever said that about anybody else, but you never said that. You've never brought up theatrics until Terence Crawford came up. It's like I told you, you guys set a different bar for Terence Crawford. Look at the other guy, what the other guy was saying. Nah, he's not being gentlemanly. Somebody wants him to be gentlemanly, you want him to have more theatrics. You see how you bring up a different bar? We was talking about a bunch of fights. You never mentioned Brian Norman Jr. not being theatrics enough. You never mentioned other people not being But with Crawford, you need a theatrical performance. Come on, Wes, that's it. You don't realize, but you turn yourself into a hater of Terence Crawford, so you fly with the narrative that you need something negative. He's not theatrical enough. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. He needs to get locked up a few times. Sad. He said it because the fans love a clown show nowadays. I mean, the fans could love what they want, but at the end of the day, he's the face of boxing. He's the most accomplished, and he could demand whatever he wants. Why would you have a problem with the amount of money that he's demanding? Wes Dawson, that's a joke, Jay Smith. You know Bud is my cousin. Read both comments, fam. Yeah, he needs to get some controversy. I guess some controversy so some fans could get behind him. But bet my pound for pound for 5 years that he number one. No. For a moment, I confused your take on Crawford versus your take on Haney. I forgot it's Haney that you had getting knocked out. Not Crawford, it's Haney. What round was it that you said Brian Norman Jr. was going to knock Devin Haney out? By the way, Wes does it. Because I'm going to remind you that shit until Brian Norman Jr. fight again. I'm not going to let it go. Not going to let it go. But look, my peoples. It's what I said. There's been Terence Crawford's career been followed by fake narratives. And one of those fake narratives that keeps following Crawford is that he don't got money like that. Is that he don't make money like that. Is that he need a payday. And to me, the funniest one is the sneak hate. When they say, yeah, man, Crawford, it's true, he deserved that fight because he need a payday. The sneak hate. I done blocked some of them goofy motherfuckers out already. When they come with the sneak hate, like, yeah, man, I feel bad, man, because he need a payday already. Dumb motherfuckers acting like Crawford is broke. Like, damn, babe. You work out a motherfucking deli, making ham and cheese sub sandwiches for like $8 an hour, and you sitting there talking about you wish Crawford could get a payday. Coño, loco. The type of shit you hear. Shackle hands, you being petty to prepare for the goofiest of the oofiest podcast. We gotta be ready, my peoples. It's tonight. It's tonight. Wes does it. He practicing on me. Nah. Listen, my people. Listen. Here's the drop of when goofiest of the oofiest is coming in tonight. I'm ready to tell you. Because nobody knows at what time the show is dropping. So for the first time, I'm going to share that with you guys. You deserve to know. If you've been watching Boxing for Breakfast this morning, for I don't know how long, some of you just tuned in, but you deserve to know, my peoples. My peoples, goofiest of the oofiest. Let me record this shit because I'm going to have to repost it too. Hold on. Repost it. Make sure everybody's aware. You guys get to be the first to find out, right? Here we go. So, my peoples, goofiest of the oofiest will drop today, December 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in. That hotline is going to drop today, so you guys will be able to call in, whether you want to trash talk, whether you want to make a prediction, whether you want to argue with me, whatever we doing. But that hotline is dropping today, my peoples, at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The debut episode of Goofiest of the Oofiest kicks off. Don't miss it, my peoples. We about to get lit. Yes, sir. You have it right there. Wes Dustin, in 10 years, one of those Crawford boys going to step in the ring. Watch. I won't be surprised. I know they doing wrestling, but you know that's building a foundation to fight. Wes does it. Lil J. Smith Jr. might be on the card with the Crawford one day. I'm not going to push him into boxing. If that's what he wants to do, I'm going to support him. But I'm going to be that type of father. I'm not going to try to make him do what I want him to do. I'm going to introduce him to a lot of different things. And, you know, hopefully there's something that he wants to do. That's the one thing I want to say, my people. Try to get your kids interested in something while they're young, so that they can have something that they want to do in their future, or at least something that prepares them for bigger things. So I'm not going to force my son to box. I'm not going to tell him, you got to box. But if he wants to do it, that's what he's going to do. Again, my peoples, make sure you tune in tonight Goofiest of the oofiest is gonna be on fire. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is right here, Adari salute. This is right here, my IG. If you want to call in to Goofiest of the Oofiest tonight, hit me up right here, and I'll send the people that hit me up on my DM, I'm going to send you the phone number before I post it on screen. What that means, if you want to call in, you'll be able to call before I actually post the phone number. I want to make sure that the subscribers, the guys that are always here, the guys that support the show, that you guys have the opportunity to call in first. West does it, 6 p.m. tonight, my brother. Remember, it's 6 p.m. Eastern time, because I don't know where you at, right? 6 p.m. Eastern time, Goofiest of the Oofiest is going to drop. Remember, if you want to call in for whatever, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to call in, trash talk, make predictions, whatever. Hit me up on DM so that I give you guys the phone number first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give out the phone number on DM to the people that want to call in first. So let's say it's 4 or 5 people that hit me up on DM and say, yo, I want to call first, Jay. I want to get it in. Then I'll make sure I send you that phone number. Bang! And after you guys call in, I'll post the number on the screen so that everybody else can call in. But I definitely want, you know, the people that's part of the Box Center family, that people that's been showing love, to have the first opportunity to call in. Oh, no. Come over here. Give me those. Be careful. I'll get them for you right now. West does it 6 p.m. tonight, correct, Eastern time. The Hydro Grind, 6 p.m. Eastern time, meaning 7 p.m. in DR time. That is correct. The Hydro Grind, you on the money, but you always are. So if you're in Dominican Republic, it is 7 p.m. If you're in the U.S., it is 6 p.m. Eastern time. Goofiest of the Oofiest, the Hydro Grind. Man, you got a lot of shit to talk about, so hit me up on IG or Facebook. I'm going to send you that phone number. But my peoples, get ready. Tonight, we're going to kick off a whole new show. Goofiest of the Oofiest is going to be crazy. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss the debut episode. Shout out to everybody for tuning in this morning. I appreciate you guys. And I also want to say, look, Jay Stradamus words of the day for you. Let me give you that. Let me hook you up on this beautiful Monday morning. Make sure that you teach your kids right, man. A lot of parents, and I've said this before, they think that kids raise themselves. If you give them money and you buy them things, they good after that. You gave them everything they need. You better be giving your kids your time. You better be giving your kids your effort, your dedication. Sit down and watch TV with them. Read them a book. Sit down and have conversations. Spend time with your kids, my peoples. Because if you don't, at some point you're going to regret it. They're going to make mistakes because you wasn't there. As a father, you can minimize the mistakes that your kids make. But you minimize them by being there for them. So what's the Jay Stradamus words of the day this Monday? Be there for your kids. Be there for your kids, my peoples. Marie DeBrin, Ben Whittaker versus Caleb Smith. That sounds like an interesting fight. I don't know if... Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if Ben Whittaker is ready to face anybody who's already fought for a title. I don't know if he's ready for that. West does say, I've never heard of a kid in therapy about not having a Benz, but be too busy while they grow up and watch what happens. See? That's what I'm saying. Parents think that, you know, as long, there's a lot of parents like that. It's like, as long, Trick Noti, salute my brother, as long as I give them what they need, he's supposed to be good. And it's not like that. The most important thing that your kids are gonna need is your time. It's you actually developing them into something. There's a lot of parents that they don't develop. You gotta develop your kids. If you don't develop them, you know what? The streets is gonna develop them. They friends is gonna develop them. Other little kids that don't know shit about shit are gonna develop them. If you don't sit your kids down and you don't give them advice, who you think is gonna give them advice? They fucking little friends from high school that don't know shit but smoking weed. That's who's gonna give your kids advice. So, you have to be part of the process of developing your kids. You see how we talk about developing fighters? You gotta develop your kids. That's why some people, their kids have success and experience success early. Because they got parents that figured out their talent and started aiming them in that direction. So while you see some parents that the kid grabbed a crayon and drew a picture in the couch, oh my God, treat the kid like hell, make him cry, even whoop his ass for drawing on that couch. There's another parent who saw him drawing on that couch and got him a big whiteboard, got him some markers, and put him in an art class. And today this kid is making mad money as an artist. Why? Because there's a difference between a parent that just sees something that was annoying and a parent that saw a talent. So wait a minute, there's a talent here that we can channel. So figure out the talents that your kids have and channel them so that they can do something positive with that talent. But if you never figure out anything that your kid is good at, you never know really what they're interested in, and you just, they need something, they need new shoes, you give them the money. They need a video game, you need the money, you give them the money. But that's your involvement as a parent. You buy them the toys that they want and the clothes that they need and the food that they eat. Well, guess what? When they turn out to be a piece of shit or they turn out to be a criminal, they end up in jail, you got to look in the mirror and see how much accountability should you take for how your kids ended up. Because it took me, I'll be right there, Ryan. It took me to get to 40 years old to understand that a lot of times the people that we see like, oh, that's a criminal, oh, that's a piece of shit, oh, that's a drug addict, oh, that, usually they didn't have pops there with them. They didn't have pops there to say, yo, now you can't do this. They didn't have pops there to say, now you can't do that. And let me tell y'all something. I'm lucky enough to have grown with my pops. I grew up with my pops and my moms, right? And I still remember I grew up in New York City in Harlem, Spanish Harlem. And, a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I went to school with, I remember they was growing up with their grandmother, with their auntie, with their moms alone, done having like 50 different step pops in a couple of years. So they grew up under circumstances that was different than mine. They didn't have a man in the house like I did to set me straight. And I still remember when I was 12 years old, my pops be like, yo, you got to take your ass upstairs. And I be mad like, damn, man, why I got to go upstairs? But my boys who growing up with their auntie and their grandma, they could stay outside. I be like, damn, man, I would be frustrated. Because my boys staying outside till 12 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. Well, guess what? Most of those, my boys, ended up in jail, ended up getting killed, and some of them in jail right now. Why? Because they never had that structure in their life. And I got in trouble myself. Don't get it twisted. I ran into some speed bumps too, but at least I had a foundation that allowed me to bounce back and get back up. But those guys, they never had a foundation. They never had a father. They never had a father figure. They never had somebody. And I'm not saying if you don't have a father, you can't make it. I know plenty of people that grew up without a father and they're great in life. But what I'm saying is that having a father can keep you out of trouble. Having a father could keep you from ending up in jail, from ending up dropping out of school, from ending up doing all this shit. Because that father figure can keep you focused. But you can't keep your kids focused if all you're doing is working and buying toys. Oh yeah, I buy them the toys. I send them the money. Nah, you ain't gonna keep them focused. You ain't gonna send them in the right path because you bought them the new PS5 and you bought them the new iPhone and you bought them the new Jordans. But you never give them advice. You don't know shit about their interests. You don't know shit about what they like. That's a problem. You need to know if you consider yourself a good father. You need to know what are your kids' favorite cartoons. You need to know what he likes to watch on social media or on YouTube. If he's already big enough to have friends, you're supposed to know who his friends are, where they from, what they be on. You're supposed to know that. If you don't know any of those things, you're not as good of a father as you think you are. You could be a good father. I'm not saying that you're a bad father, but you could be a lot better. You got to be involved in your kid's life. The letter M, Honduras dad, Puerto Rican mom in Brooklyn, New York, was wicked work. Damn, in Brooklyn, New York, whew, you gotta be tough. Gotta be tough coming up over there. My peoples, there you have it, man. Those are my words of the day, which was a little bit extended, but I think that's real important. You know, fatherhood is real important to me. So I gave you this extended version. Let's be great fathers, my peoples. Most of the people in here, if not all of us, we men. Just do boxing. Salute, my brother. So I say to you guys, let's be great fathers. And again, the goofiest of the oofiest, the podcast drops today, 6 p.m. Eastern time. My peoples, don't miss it. Don't miss it. That hotline number is going to go up and we're going to be on fire. Dari Panam, why did you leave America? That's a great question. But the show is over. Show up for goofiest of the oofiest, and I'm going to answer that question for you. My peoples, I'll see you tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time. This was another episode of Boxing for Breakfast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Jay Smith. I'll see you guys later. Be ready for that smoke, my peoples.